Ladies and gentlemen, for our keynote address this morning, we have the Managing Director of Bhojsons. They've been in Nigeria for how many decades? Almost 10. Before I was born, please welcome Mr. Narendra Nagarkar for the keynote address, Building a Consumer-Centric Route to Market.
I would like to, in the course of my presentation, I would like to take you through a journey of the last 25 years where we have seen transitions. I mean, people who have gray hair like me would have also seen these transitions happening, I'm sure. The younger generation would have probably picked up something in between, so they would have probably a half-baked story. But trust us, all the people here with gray hair have the full story in front of them. So let me just take you through that journey. Mr. Godson. Okay, yeah. So as Mr. Godson rightly said, we are at the correct place at the right time. So West Africa has a population of more than 400 million consumers. 400 million is 5% of the population of the world in this small area, right? At a good GDP growth of 3.5%, where people are struggling. If we look at Nigeria, it is supposed to be 4.2, 4.3. And of course, Nigeria is 50% of the population of West Africa. I'm sure we are all aware of that, right? What is an opportunity for us? I think what is most important is the growing middle class. If we observe in the last 20 to 25 years, maybe 20 years back, there was nothing like a middle class, or it was not a recognized sector or a recognized section of the society. But over the years, with what has helped the countries in the entire western zone of Africa is the political stability and the development that has happened, which has created this middle class, which will be the driver of consumption. So this is very important in terms of understanding how the market will grow and in which direction will the market go and what will be the product selections, right? So this is a very important information for all of us. Second most important is the age. West Africa has one of the youngest populations. I say one of the, because my country has the youngest population. And at the youngest population means in the next 5-10 years, this market is going to boom. Boom because consumers will increase. And as consumers increase, consumption increases, business increases, right? And the basic opportunity which has made us to come here and discuss this topic is that 80% of the FMCG sales even today happens through open market. All the markets that were announced by my coach, the MC of today, most of the sales happen through these open markets and mom and pop stores. There's nothing wrong in this. It's just that we need to organize it in a way that we take more intelligent and defined and more educated decisions than just taking rash decisions and making a mistake again and again and again, right? Next, please. So as I was mentioning, we are looking at a last 20-25 years cycle. What has happened? And this is true for most of West Africa, right? Whether it's a Francophone country or any other country, all the countries have gone through the same cycles. Limited presence of retail, which we are all aware. We are still struggling, but we are at a better position than what we were maybe before 2000, to be more positive. I think this is also something which we will all relate to. Retail packs were not available before. Early 2000s, you would have milk powder as 25 kg bags. or you would have tins of 400 grams, 900 grams, which probably were not affordable for the masses. So what used to happen? A mama sitting in the corner somewhere would open a 25 kg bag, use a modu or a paint bucket to give you proper measurements of a 1 kg, 2 kg, 2.5 kg kind of a measurement, and you would happily buy it and take it home in a nylon. This, we will see how this has progressed over a period of time. Also, most importantly, which we will all relate to, is how those days it was only cash. There were no credit cards, no debit cards, no money point, no POS systems, no transfers. Actually, going to the bank was a nightmare then. I don't know how many of us relate to this. But then everything was cash-based, so everything was difficult. Because you cannot carry bundles of cash with you everywhere where you're going. So either you're buying on credit from somebody who knows you, or you're going to carry that cash to buy the goods. There were also uncertainties in terms of the political atmosphere. I think what has changed, and which will come up in my next slide also, the major transition and the major influence, and because of which, thankfully, we are all together here, is the political stability that has come into this area. The geography has been politically stable for the last 25 to 30 years, which has created a market, and companies from outside have started looking at West Africa as a feasible market where you will have sustained policies for a longer period of time. You will have systems and procedures predefined. I'm sure they're still work in progress, but there has been a lot of improvement from what we would have seen probably pre-2000, right? The next point I would like to mention is the informal market, which was the key source. I mean, modern trade was almost absent. What was modern trade or a supermarket then were those container supermarkets, which we all used to tag as supermarkets then. That is history now, thankfully. And we had multinational companies coming up in small ways into the country, not necessarily putting their right foot in the right place at the right time, and seeing failures more often than successes, creating an image for West Africa that this is not an important segment for us. We may not be able to focus here for now. Let's have our operations running. We will look at this at a later stage. And I think the later stage has come now. Also, we had a lot of fragmented supply chains. Again, there has been a lot of improvement. If you see the number of private, logistics companies that have come into existence, which use the internet and the facilities that are available to get you the best and the most viable logistical support across the country. And there was also a huge rural and urban divide, which has over a period of time reduced to a large extent. Now, as we see today, where we stand today, this has not happened overnight. It's been a journey of almost 20-25 years, where there has been a rise in modern trade, though I'm sorry to say, but ShopRite does not exist. They were maybe the pioneers in Nigeria in the modern age. In 2004, when they first came to Nigeria, they brought the concept of malls and shopping malls, and you would have good brands available. May not be affordable for all the masses, but yes, there was an avenue where people could go and spend money. And that's how the economy runs. If you do not spend, the economies collapse. Similarly, there was an expansion of distribution networks, because looking at the stability in the political scenario, more and more companies started coming into the Western region. And what happened? There was more supply than demand. And as that equation started tilting towards more supply and demand, people started looking for more avenues of business. So what was limited to maybe an Okearin or a Teju Show market or a trade fair market spread across to bigger geographies. Ibadan, which was maybe section 2 or a tier 2 city for most of the companies became important. Ilorin became important. The state of Benue became important, which did not exist for many companies. So slowly the spread started happening in those geographies. That's because of the political stability. One very important thing which I would like to highlight here, over and above the political stability, there's another factor which played a very major role in all these things that are happening. Can somebody have a guess on that? Over and above the political stability, there was another point during this period, 2000 to 2025, where a major transition happened. It's an industry which we all relate to. Exactly. Telecommunication has changed everything. And today, whatever we are discussing is on the foundation of telecommunication. If there is no telecommunication, no mobile phones, no data is available, we would not be sitting here. We would still be searching for that mama in Tejusho market trying to buy from us, right? But today, the story is completely different. So two factors which we need to remember very well, political stability and the telephone revolution. These two are the main things that have kick-started this process. The telephone revolution brought in the digital and e-commerce section. Though, if we compare to other countries in the world, the digital and e-commerce has not developed the way we would have expected it to. Because today, Jumia is doing very well, but it's limited to a certain sectors. They have not been able to, enter the FMCG kind of a segment. Majorly, the main problem is logistical expenses, right? So, but that, of course, as the economy develops, infrastructure improves, these things will slowly become more and more viable, and we will see people ordering groceries online on a regular basis. And of course, the government influence and the ECOWAS free trade agreement, which has also helped us in a reasonable manner. Fine. Where do we stand today? In spite of all this grammar that I've given you, right? We still have a lot of issues on hand. And that is where we all come into play. As salesmen, commercial people, logistics people, finance people, I think this is not a job just for the commercial people, it's a job for the entire company. The entire infrastructure of the company and the country has to work towards making this a success, right? Even today, 90% of the total FMCG sales is fragmented, cash-based, and through the mama network. Let me correct myself. I'm not against the mamas, please. They are my mothers, they are my sisters. We have done a lot of business with them, and I respect them a lot. But if we have to transition, then there will be some changes happening. In the modern trade, though we saw a spike with the incoming of ShopRite, but then it has slowed down a bit. But what has also happened is a lot of local chains are developing now. The market squares, the bocos, they are developing and giving us a fresh insight into what probably a cheaper modern trade could be, a more affordable modern trade could be. So these are some of the scenarios which we will be facing at least over the next 10 to 15 years, but step by step, we will have to cross these hurdles. Also, as I was mentioning, the e-commerce and the last mile delivery, is something which will develop because it has developed in other parts of the world. As infrastructure improves, the amount of availability of proper cost-effective logistics is available. I think this will just shoot and grow within no time. I mean, we will all probably be surprised at what speed this category of business would have grown. I'm sure you have seen a lot of companies coming into this business now with the aim and objective that this growth pattern will come up. Let me just take you through something very fundamental here. As we speak of these changes happening, the basics will still remain almost 90-95% the same. You will still have a factory producing, you will still have a commercial team, you will still have, and a commercial team would also mean the logistics part of it, you will still have warehouses to store the goods effectively with all sorts of controls. If we are talking of FMCG or food, you would have more controls when it comes to food products. Then you will have distribution points, which will be smaller warehouses and which would be reaching the last mile. Just the addition would be the direct to consumer, right? So this is an outlay which probably for the next 50 years would still be applicable. It's a universal formula which would not change because you will still go through the same processes which are mentioned here. What are the changing consumer behaviors? A very small percentage, but yes, this will grow fast because as we mentioned in the previous slides, that we have a young population coming up. And I'm sure the parents sitting here and the younger generation sitting here would be fed up with their children just looking into their phones and chatting and talking and getting distracted by social influencers. That's one part of social media. The second part is it is going to help us connect, make life easier for us. It's also going to help us educate ourselves, hopefully in the right way, assuming we understand what is right and wrong, right? So the value consciousness, the digital influence, and the young consumers preferring brands with eco-friendly packaging is a thing which will come in the near future. It's a work in progress, and I'm sure social media is going to take us through all these churnings, and we will learn the best way of getting things and the best results from the data that is available. Now, why am I using the word data here? We'll come to this, but I want to take up an important point here. We have seen that the process that follows, a factory producing, sales commercial people, logistics, warehousing, distribution, consumers, right? That's the process we went through and we are all going through even today. That's how the goods reach us also, right? But what would be different if we have to change the route to market? The definition given by our able friend Mr. Inca here. What would change between what we were doing probably 20 years back or 5 years back and what we propose to do in the next 10 to 15 years or 20 years? The most important factor is data. So we have three major words to remember here: political stability, telephone revolution or internet revolution or whatever you call it, and the third is the data that comes out of it. And as I progress in my presentation, you will see what is the significance of data in whatever we will be doing through this route to market process. Now, as we try to do something different, try to create avenues of better sales, try to make the consumers happy, make customers happy, to give the customers what they want. You know, we always, no matter how young or old you are, the first lesson you're taught is customer is the king. Give him what he wants. Have we ever done it? I don't think so. I have never done it. We have sold what we have. We have never sold what he wants. I think these kind of steps that we are taking would help us move in that direction. Again, not with 100% efficiency, but we would be able to present at least an option for a consumer which would be near to what he's expecting. And for that, what we would also need is the government help. because everything cannot be done by the private sector, right? The private sector pockets are big, but not as big as the government. So what we need is to build a proper infrastructure so that the roads that we use are good enough for our vehicles to last longer than they last now. Or the fuel efficiency is better. You have lesser holdups, so your goods reach on time. You have lesser area boys in the market, so you get your goods without paying those extra tips that you need to pay in the market. All these factors will go a long way in making the product more cost effective for the consumer. Because no matter what you pay, in the end, the consumer pays for it. Whether you're paying a customs official, whether you're paying an area boy, you're paying anybody in the system, who the company does not bear the cost. The company passes it on to the consumer. Right? We all know this, right? So the fact of the matter is, the road infrastructure has to improve. There has to be some level of incentive for people to invest, because this will take billions of dollars. This is not a 10, 20, $50 million initiative. Collectively, this would run into billions of dollars, because when I explain the procedure, you will understand what is the level of detailing that goes into this process. You would also have a digital inclusion. So the spread of internet or the spread of the telephone network across the entire West African region is what is important. So that whatever data that is being generated is real-time received at the stations from where we are supposed to understand and decipher and make a meaning of that data. See, data is data, but it's only a person who is trained will be able to make meaning of that data. I could say I'm doing 180 billion naira worth of business, but that doesn't make any sense. What product am I selling? Where am I selling? Which SKU sells most? Which geography does it sell? Why does it sell? Who is the consumer? Why does he buy? If we do not know these answers to these questions, all this sales is useless. We are just counting numbers. We are just piling up our trucks and loading stocks to the consumers. Yeah, no, come back. Go back, please. Okay, next one, sorry. Yeah, so again, this takes me back to the data that we were discussing. I don't think this slide would be very important. Okay, now let me give you a scenario of what the present route to market means. We know, as a salesperson, I have also done it, we have all done it, all of us who have been sales people have done this. You get up in the morning, register your presence in the office, go to the market, meet the customer, the distributor, or whatever you call them, explain your product, maybe the scheme, the profit, you give him a story, he gives you a check or he transfers the money and you supply the goods to them. There is no logic behind this. There is no science behind this. There is no mathematics behind this. This is a basic courier job. What we were doing as salespeople was a courier job. He asked for it, I gave it to him. I did not sell it to him. He bought it from me. So why am I there? He could have connected to somebody in the office, in the factory, and got the goods. Maybe at a better price. I would have hidden some scheme from him. So what does this data do? In this route to market structure, every salesperson has a handheld device. And that handheld device has a software. And that software is pre-programmed to a lot of things. So I'm going to maybe Ikeja, for example. My beat is fixed. I'm supposed to cover Alaja as my first shop in the morning, 9 a.m. I'm supposed to log in. That registers my presence in the office. So I'm on time. So 9 a.m. I'm registering myself on the system. It goes into the main facility at the office. There would be 500 people like me who would be registering exactly at 9 a.m. All these gets registered. Every salesperson has a beat to cover, at least 35 to 40 outlets in a day. Now, if you're starting afresh, you're still collating data, collating information, the location of the shop, the geographical location, how does it look? You take a picture, because then you have to authenticate that this is a genuine location, right? That's part of the process. Once you have done that, you then start discussing, you take pictures of the inside of the shop to understand what does the shop do? What do they sell? Where do I fit in? I may be producing pasta, but this is a pharmacy shop. Can I fit in? Maybe yes, maybe no. Similarly, for all these 500 people who are in the market, 500 salespeople like me in the market, they all have their predefined routes of 35 outlets within a geography, which is time saving. You're not hopping from one part of Lagos to another part of Lagos. You're moving on a particular route, and that is why you can do 35 outlets to 40 outlets in a day. In Lagos, with the traffic, I don't think you can do 3 outlets in different parts of Lagos. So this will be an efficiency factor which will come in. As you collect this information over a span of time, all this data is stored into the system. So next time you are going to that same shop in Ikeja, whatever is the name, Alaja something, the system will pop up with a picture of the shop, will explain what all she buys or he buys, what did you sell last time, and what could you probably sell today. This entire structure is on your palm, is on your phone, is on your instrument, whatever you call it. This makes the life of a salesperson very easy. And why is this necessary? Let me give you another scenario here. It's assumed that West Africa has more than 1.8 to 2 million retail points. And I'm using the word assumed because the data is not confirmed. But between 1.8 to 2 million outlets have to be covered. Compare that to the system we were using before, where we would probably have 250 to 300 distributors in Nigeria or West Africa. So your focus is limited on those 300 data sheets that are available. Going forward, you will have 2 million data sheets. I'm sure even if we put all our brains together into one skull, we will not be able to get that data or make some meaning out of it. And that's why the systems come into play to help you understand where is this outlet, what does this outlet do, what did she buy, what should you sell today, and why should you sell today, and is there a promotion on that? And based on historical information, it also gives you the quantity that you should sell, because the rate of sale also gets registered in this process. So this makes life very easy for the salesperson, because he does not need to remember things or go through 50 sheets sent by email by some sales analyst sitting in the office. This is data perfectly defined and available on your phone. Just imagine you are standing in front of an Alaja shop, and the Alaja is selling food, FMCG, pasta, rice, any other products like that. Maybe semolina, wheat meal, whatever products. And you have seen that the last 6 purchases, she has purchased semolina and wheat meal, but she has not purchased maybe rice. So that gives you a cue that you need to push rice. What is also important is, today when we are doing what is called as van sales, which will get improvised into the route to market in a different way. Today the van sales is quite unorganized. Unorganized in the sense, how does a van sales work? The capacity of the vehicle is 1 ton. I will load 1 ton into it. There is no logic. There is no science behind it. It's just that because the vehicle is carrying 400 kg, maybe a 400 kg vehicle or a 1 ton vehicle, I will load it to the full capacity. But with this data available, I have the history of what has been sold on that particular route, so I will use that 1 ton more efficiently. I will also use my focus product as the main product which I will load into the vehicle so that I'm able to sell a higher quantity of the product which I also want to sell and make it available. It could be a new launch. It could be a product where the packaging has changed, so I need to do some POS activities. Everything gets listed in the process. So you have a clear structure which, and remember one thing, sorry, I missed that point. If you do not tick those points, it will keep reminding you that you are supposed to put POS on or a poster on the shop. You have not done it. It keeps reminding you till you tick it and take a picture of the poster that you have put on the shop. You know, these are kinds of controls which will help us in the long run. Today, a salesman could start his day at 9 in the morning and probably close at 2. Nobody knows. He has taken the vehicle and driven. He will sell the stock and come back. He could have sold to one person. He will prepare 25 receipts for you or invoices for you. But with this system, you will know who has genuinely purchased what. And because you have the details of every location, every geography, you can cross-check also whether this has really been done. And that becomes a proper system so that we are not fooling the consumer or the customer. We are giving them the best service available. And of course, things will improve more and more. As this data becomes more and more intense, the level of service, the efficiency of the service will bring costs down. Trust me on that, and that is something which will happen in the next 2 to 5 years, because there are a lot of companies who are already into this process of transiting from the old system to the new system, investing billions of naira, buying vehicles to the tune of maybe 500, 600, 700 vehicles, investing in that infrastructure and the software and ensuring that these things are properly implemented. Most importantly, a lot of training goes into this. So what is also important for all of us is that we should be able to train our staffs, and the team should be taking this positively. We are not trying to create a policing system. We are trying to create an efficient system for the company and for the customer. So this is something which has to be communicated very clearly, because the first response for such a kind of automation from a salesperson, me included, I will try to find loopholes in this and try to dodge the system. But trust me, these systems are almost foolproof. You cannot dodge them, you will be dodged. Right? So please, as we move forward, data availability will be the most important factor which will help us gain market share efficiently and cost effectively. Coming to this point of where are the goods, where would be the goods tomorrow? As you have data of consumption, of sales, if you backtrack or go into the backward part of the system, the back-end side of it, you would see that this data will help you plan your production, will help you plan your inventories, which will make it more efficient for you. Everything is money, and money once blocked is blocked. And money doesn't come cheap now. You know the rates of interest right now from the banks, right? So if we are able to just imagine data of 500 salespeople giving us an indication of where the market is moving to, what is the market liking or what is the market not liking. So maybe in the next 6 months, product X could be moved out with a modification. So today I'm selling a 400 gram sachet of milk powder, for example. But I'm seeing that the sales are dropping because the market is moving towards the 20, 25 gram sachets. So I would probably move the 400 grams to 350 grams to make it more affordable, or move directly to the 20, 25 gram sachet of milk powder. These feedbacks in today's system would take months to actualize. But with the data available, and when you see that the sales is going up or down in certain geographies or certain SKUs, this will help you to gauge and make a decision faster. Okay, I think the last couple of slides. What is the top priority? I was mentioning all this: demand forecasting, price optimization, market segmentation, predictive product research, supply chain optimization. I think directly or indirectly we have covered all these aspects that will help us as a major benefit coming out of this entire exercise. And what do you mean by predictive product research? Extrapolation of what is happening today, based on the currency stability as we have seen today as against the last 3-4 years. I think it's time for us to understand how the market will move or how the consumer will behave in the next 3 to 4 years. And that comes from your predictive product research with the backdrop of the data that you have already received through all the information that we have gathered. What do we need to do? As I mentioned before, it's all about money. If you need to take the advantage, you will have to invest today. And the advantage is a guaranteed result. There are no two ways that this thing could fail or this thing can go wrong. If you have trained your people well and you have people to analyze the data that is available, this is a sure win situation for you. How do we get business and industry leaders to get into the transformation journey of RTM? Next please. First is, we need to accept that this is required. Most importantly, the first step to change is acceptance that change is required. You will have to see competition, you will have to see other industries moving in that direction, making themselves more efficient, and just imagine the amount of data that you're gathering, because this will help you launch new products also completely out of line with what you're currently doing. Because these are the opportunities you will see from the data coming in every day. So, and data of almost 2 million outlets being studied on a daily basis will give you not only an immediate safe future, but also a very good, safe and efficient future. Thank you very much. I hope we have been able to add value to each other. Thank you.
You've done an excellent job. Thank you very much.